August who plays basketball. He's the best on his high school basketball team and has the speed of a cheetah. One day while playing a game by himself, he sprains his ankle. In order to help his team win the first place trophy, he really needs all parts of his body to be functioning properly. August goes out in his backyard every evening to work out his game. Each time he dribbles, the feeling of 1,000 needles takes over. The pain is unbearable, but August knows that he will have to play despite his injury. He ponders about how he will overcome this adversity and get back on his feet to continue to be the best player he can be and lead his team to success. The concept of overcoming adversities connects to my 6th grade year through each subject. However, during my presentation, I'm going to focus on English, history, math, and science. I will start off with English. Adversity is another word for troubles or problems someone is facing. There are many adversities that the protagonist, Esperanza, faces in the novel Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan. Pam Munoz Ryan was born and raised in California. She comes from a Spanish background but considers herself truly American. The character, Esperanza, thinks that she will always live on her family's beautiful ranch in Mexico. Her family is very wealthy, and Esperanza gets fancy dresses with a beautiful house that comes with a plethora of servants. Unfortunately, this all comes to an end. Her papa is murdered by bandits, and her uncle harasses her mom. Esperanza, Mama, and some of the servants flee to California where they will become migrant workers, and they struggle financially with the Great Depression and its effects. Esperanza wasn't ready for the hard labor that came with the migrant workers' life, but she and Mama adjust quickly. As migrant workers, they come across strikers who are unwilling to work for the law's low prices. Many of them are deported to Mexico where they'll face poverty and starve. Esperanza learns what it's like to be poor and comes to terms with her new life. She makes a change in her outlook of life, meaning she is more appreciative and considerate towards those who she encounters with. Even with all the struggles and adversity that Esperanza faces, she finds a way to fight back and not let her troubles get the best of her. Two vital traits that Esperanza uses to overcome adversity are independence and perseverance. Esperanza exemplifies independence because she has to pay the bills by herself with migrant working money when her mother gets sick. She tells Miguel, "I can work in the fields right now, and Melina and Irene have already offered." Munoz 166. This proves that Esperanza doesn't let troubles discourage her and takes matters into her own hands when her mother gets sick. She doesn't try to make up any excuses as to why she can't pay the bills. Lastly, Esperanza shows perseverance to overcome adversities. Even though Esperanza wasn't understanding how to sweep and cook, she kept trying and finally understood how to be a proper migrant worker. In the novel, it states, Esperanza stood up and carefully practiced with the broom. Munoz 120. This goes to show that Esperanza does her best to keep trying to sweep, even though it was something she'd never done. She failed the first time, but bounced back and tried again. Esperanza learns to cope with all the responsibilities she has and keeps on working to provide for her new family. Now, I will talk about history. In history class, our essential question for our FPT project was, why do civilizations fall? In class, we discussed that civilizations can fall for one of the 3 primary reasons. Economic troubles, when the government didn't get enough tax money, leaving civilizations with less spending money. Weak leaders, leaders who are too friendly or not strong-minded and don't understand how to run an empire. Or weak military, when soldiers lack military skills and aren't able to protect their territory. I strongly believe the primary reason that civilizations fall is weak military. The civilization that I believe fell for this reason is Songhai. The Songhai Empire began in 1464. It was once ruled by Sunni Ali, an underwater believer who was Muslim. After he died, his son tried to take over, but he was quickly overthrown because of his intolerance of Muslims. Soon after, Aski Muhammad took over and declared Islam the state religion. Aski's army expanded Songhai's borders and encouraged non-Muslims to convert to Islam. Songhai became a great learning center as well as a great trade empire. All of this happiness soon came to an end. As time went on, small but powerful Islamic groups began to form. These groups distanced themselves from people who weren't Muslims. This caused problems and eventually a battle starts. Morocco invades Songhai for its trade and gold. Morocco's ruler decides that those 2 items are worth fighting for. Songhai outnumbers Morocco's soldiers by at least 25,000 men, but Morocco brings extra help. Songhai's swords and arrows are no match for Morocco's guns. This leads to Morocco conquering Songhai, and Songhai falls apart completely. Songhai goes from a well-organized empire to a series of military camps. Because of Morocco's strong weapons and military, they were able to take over Songhai. If the military of Songhai would have had more strength, Morocco would have had a harder time invading. Various places have fallen because of the same reason as Songhai, such as Mesopotamia and Greece. A lesson that can be learned from Songhai's decline, as well as other civilizations, is that a weak military will always be defeated, but a strong military always wins. Next, I will discuss math. For our math FPT in the 6th grade, we were given the assignment to measure how much we've changed from 5th grade to 6th grade. We were given 200 points to divide up among 5 categories to measure how much we have changed in each category. In my circle graph, I gave 15% to academic success, 20% to academic grit, 50% to maturity, 5% to leadership, and 10% to integrity. I first rated the categories where I changed the most to the least, then assigned points until it added up to 200 points. As you can see in my graph, I've changed the most in maturity by 50%. The first reason I changed in maturity is because I've grown a lot in being more mature and serious. I'm now able to make better decisions by myself and surround myself with more mature people. The second reason is because I can handle situations way better now. In the beginning of my 6th grade year, I wasn't as serious and was more of a clown. Now I don't find comedy in petty things like sneezing or coughing. One specific moment that shows this change was when we had a fire drill. We were all lined up by the gate when a man came walking down the street. He started cheering, "Fire drill, fire drill." Most people who heard this laughed, but I kept a straight face and fought the urge to bust out a laughter. This is a perfectly clear example of my change in maturity. I've changed the least in leadership this year, which I gave 5% on my circle graph. The first reason for this is because my leadership didn't change as much as the other categories did. My leadership hasn't decreased, but it sort of stayed the same. My second reason is because it took me a little bit longer to become the leader I knew I could be. Towards the beginning of my school year, I was off task and not as focused on my education. Now I'm doing better, but I didn't have as much time as I would have liked in order to show my leadership qualities. One action step I will take is to find more ways to show leadership. I'm already tutoring one of my close friends to help her bring up her grades. My second action step is to start my 7th grade year off as a leader right away. I will start my year off by helping others and surrounding myself with great people. This will help me to improve my leadership. I've changed quite a bit in 6th grade from the beginning to the end of the year. My greatest change was in maturity, and my least change was leadership. In math class, we took our change points and changed them to percents, then to angle measurements so we could make circle graphs. We then used protractors to create circle graphs to show the change for each category by dividing by 2 and color each category to show the change by multiplying by 360. I will go into my science portion. For my science FPT, I've chosen the topic of changes in states of matter, bad to good. The 3 states of matter are solids, liquids, and gases. Gases has no definite value or shape. The particles of a gas spread apart and aren't connected. They move around and are usually invisible. Gases move very fast, causing the temperature of the gas to be hot. Another state of matter is a liquid. It has no definite shape, but does have a definite value. The liquid particles move around at a medium speed, giving it a warm temperature. Liquids are wet and flow. What causes the change of matter is temperature. When a gas turns into a liquid, the particles slow down a bit and get a little bit colder. A definite volume begins to form as the particles move closer together. This is called condensing. Solids have both a definite shape and volume. As particles are close together and vibrate. They're connected and are hard to compress. Solid particles move slowly, hardly at all, which gives them a cold temperature. When a liquid turns into a solid, a definite shape and volume form as well as a temperature dropping. Its particles stay connected with very little movement. This is called freezing. As the 3 states of matter change, so does the particles, which makes gases, solids, and liquids what they are. I chose the topic of change in states of matter, bad to good, because it had a lot to do with the way I started off my 6th grade year. My character in my comic relates to me because she goes from a gas to a solid. Gases are all over the place and have no definite value or shape. The beginning of my 6th grade year was like this for me because I wasn't focused and was all over the place. Instead of being focused on my education, I was everywhere else like a gas. Liquids move around but are connected. The middle of 6th grade was like a liquid for me because I was sent to the dean's office twice, but then I was switched from Veritas to Dalmatian. The switching teams brought me back together some, but I was still kind of moving around like a liquid. Solids are connected and don't move. The end of my year is going great because I've maintained straight A's all year and I've stayed out of trouble. I came together completely and I'm not all over the place. I've surrounded myself around better people and changed my ways. I've ended my year off strong and I'm proud to say that I've made changes for the better. The name of my character is Isis. She's an ice cube who is sarcastic and funny. She goes through many different changes throughout the story and has no idea why. First, Isis is an ice cube that melts into a gas. As it gets a little bit colder, Isis becomes liquid water. The temperature begins to drop even more when the liquid water is put into the freezer. This ends Isis off back as an ice cube who is nicer and more caring. I incorporated the science facts of my topic into my story by thinking about what a solid, liquid, and gas are. I knew all the changes that each piece of matter goes through in order to become new. I mixed all my knowledge and creativity to create a story of the different changes. Remember that guy August with the sprained ankle? He is completely healed and is back on his basketball team. He was determined to heal quickly and achieve this goal all by himself. All those times that he tried to play basketball outside his backyard and almost quit made him persevere even more and show his coach that he would be strong enough to play. He and his team ended up winning the first place trophy and championships. Overcoming adversity has connected to my 6th grade year through literature, math, history, and science. All you need is yourself and a mind of perseverance to lead you on a path of success.
Thank you. Where did it go? We have questions.